Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you might be tuning in from at the moment. This is my Spirit Animal Oracle intention. So I'm tuning in. So if we remember last week, we had Badger, be fearless and bold. Badger, be fearless and bold. And then we had SWAN Spirit, time for a deep dive, joining Turtle Spirit. So Turtle Spirit's been with us for a couple of weeks. So as I have been tuning in today, right now, I am recognizing pretty clearly that there is not another spirit animal that wants to come through at this time. That Turtle, Badger, and Swan would like to spend at least another week with us. They want to continue spending time with us. And Turtle Spirit is wanting to come through. As soon as I said that, there was a stubborn card that wouldn't go back in the deck. So I am being corrected by Spirit. So there is one that wants to come through just briefly. So we'll bring through that message. It's that one. Let me see. Is there any other? No? Okay. So Turtle Spirit, remember Turtle Spirit is slow and steady wins the race, and we reframed that to slow and steady is the pace. So the things that we're moving through, the deep dives that we're taking from that different vantage point, we want to be able to take our time with and not rush through the process and be thoughtful, be mindful, give ourselves grace and love and compassion as we take those deeper dives. And we want to continue to draw upon our faith and be fearless and courageous and bold about this remembrance journey that we are moving through. Like these deeper dives are uprooting those things that have been interfering with us really being in touch with who we truly are at our first nature, instead of second nature. The Spirit has reframed that for me to be first nature, what is truly innately our first nature way of walking through the world without all of the projected conditions and definitions that don't serve, frameworks that no longer fit. So Turtle Spirit wants to remind us how important it is not to rush through those things. And even when we come across things that, oh, this makes sense that WASP Spirit is the one that wanted to come through. So even when we come across experiences, we're moving through experiences that we might not be able to articulate a definition for or a reason for, that if there's emotions coming up, if there's feelings coming up, they're coming up for a reason. Feelings are meant to be felt, not explained. So, creating those healthy boundaries, creating that safe place and that safe space so that you can move through that experience comfortably is very important. And we deserve to do that for ourselves, right? We definitely deserve to do that for ourselves. And the card that was stubborn, like, I don't know if you noticed, I was like trying to tuck it back in and it wouldn't tuck back in as I was shuffling. This is WASP Spirit. So WASP Spirit, sometimes life stings. Isn't that the truth? So it makes me think of like when my ego is wounded, or when I've had the best of intentions and I'm not able to live up to them, or I have had the best of intentions to be supportive to someone else, and then I've let them down, or I'm looking for that feedback that I don't get, or the, you know, the praises that I want that I don't end up getting, or I end up getting constructive feedback that I wasn't expecting, or whatever. So, yeah, sometimes life stings. And all the more reason to move slow and steady, to find that pace, to be able to reflect upon that experience. What caused the sting? What caused the sting? And what's coming through here is one of the things that we have to be courageous about is, when we do those deep dives, is taking the accountability for how we react and respond to things. So why does that situation sting? If I am, what was the first one I said? Like, if my ego is bruised, like if I have done something, I think I've done it really well and I'm really excited about it, and then, you know, the people whose opinion really matters a lot to me is giving me feedback, and they're giving me a whole bunch of constructive feedback, and I'm like, oh man, I thought that was great and perfect, and I don't really want to hear that feedback. Like, what's causing the sting? Is it the actual words of the feedback itself? No, it's my reaction and response to it. I projected something onto that scenario that isn't happening in the way that I wanted it to happen. And so that's creating the sting. So it's all me, right? I'm accountable to how I react and respond to things. And I've talked about before how an experience is simply an experience. What we project onto that experience in the way of meaning and context creates the reaction and the response. So if I'm detached from the outcome of the feedback that I may or may not get, then I'm not going to be bothered by it. It's not going to sting. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt my ego, because it's feedback, right? But it's not, I'm not, when I detach from it, I'm not having that feedback equate to like my self-worth, and it's not all intrinsically tied up together. So WASP Spirit is reminding us sometimes life stings. And so as we are taking those deeper dives at a pace that is slow and steady and giving ourselves grace, we want to be fearless and bold about recognizing those things where, you know, how much did that particular reaction or response or circumstance that is a stinging circumstance, a contrasting experience, something that we're moving through that we don't really like, that doesn't feel great, how much of the feeling of that is because of how we're projecting meaning to it, right? So that is why WASP Spirit didn't want to go back in the deck. WASP is like, we've got a message. So as, again, it's the things that, you know, the issues that we tend to maybe subconsciously want to, you know, sweep under the rug, the shadows, the shadow work. So the deep diving now is to get to the shadow work, which is some of the stuff that is going to feel like it's stinging. It's stinging because it's not comfortable, because it means we have to own up to our accountability for how we're moving through that experience and not put the blame on everybody else if the experience isn't going the way we want it to. Let's look at how are we choosing to react and respond, and let's look at what are the deep-seated assumptions and beliefs that have fostered that perspective on that experience that cause it to be an uncomfortable, stinging experience. So, okay. So this is pretty short and sweet. Not getting any other messages coming through. They just want to spend. So Badger, Turtle, and Swan want to continue to spend time with us this week. And they're just letting us know that as we do take these deeper dives, we're getting deeper and deeper now, and it's like no point of no return, where we're uprooting those things that just might not feel so pretty, you know. And also what's coming through, now that I said that's it, is from WASP Spirit is, you know, there might be also some patterns and things that come up that are being uprooted that really show us how maybe we've been the one that has been initiating or creating some tension or stress for others, where, you know, where it's potentially not even been intentional, or maybe it has been intentional. Like, I can think of, I don't know, I just got a whole flood of memories of me being a child. I was, as a child, very stubborn, and yes, I was shy outside of the house, but inside of the house, I'm the youngest of three. So I had an older brother who passed, and then I have an older sister, but the relationship that I had with my brother when we were younger, oh my goodness, bless my brother's heart, because I annoyed the heck out of him, and I did stuff just to do stuff because I knew that my mom was like, don't do that to your little sister, she's going to grow up and hit you back or whatever, don't hit your sister. So, you know, I tested those boundaries. So that sting for me is like owning the fact that I initiated some stuff that was pretty nasty. Like, I did things just because I was testing boundaries, and I was very stubborn and very arrogant and very, you know, huge attitude about stuff. So, you know, are there patterns and things like that that still are carrying forward now that are time to be uprooted and let go of? So, yeah, so we're getting to that place now. We've done so much work, uprooting all of these things, these definitions and frameworks and narratives that don't serve, and now we're getting to the stingy stuff, the sticky stuff, the waspy stuff. Sometimes life stings. So we're going to continue to work with Turtle Spirit, who's reminding us about healthy boundaries, taking our time to go at our own pace. Slow and steady is the pace, and retreating when we need to regroup. Again, setting those healthy boundaries and finding that pace and that rhythm, that TLC, as we move through these deeper dives with Swan Spirit. Time for the deeper dive. And remember, Swan was echoing the uprooting that Groundhog has been doing with us, but from that different vantage point. Instead of being down in the sludge, in the mud, in the earth, we are now on the water. So we're on the water, but we're still having opportunities to dive that long neck down under the water and bring to the surface those things that are ready to also be uprooted and healed. And also what's coming through with that is swans dive into the water for their nourishment as well. And this process is a nourishing process for our soul, for our spirit. And then Badger Spirit, being fearless and bold. So continuing to hold on to that fierceness, that boldness, that unapologetically being ourselves, singing our songs as we still continue to move through life on our path and purpose. Like, we can do this journeying, we can do this remembrance journeying at the same time that we are moving boldly and fearlessly through our human experiences. And we can do this remembrance journeying boldly and fearlessly. Yeah, so those are the messages coming through. So I was working with Badger Spirit this past week. I don't know about you, but I was working with Badger Spirit, being fearless and bold. And for me, where I felt like this message was supporting my intentions was around how I am being seen in kind of every aspect of my life, how I'm being seen, and again, that unapologetic way of like, if I have a question, or I have a concern, or I have something I want to say in a particular way, or if I have something that I want to share, like through social media or through messaging of my purpose and intention, my mission and my vision, you know, or through my healing practice, you know, to go ahead and be bold about speaking it, about vocalizing it, about being visible, about, you know, sharing that perspective, you know, and not attaching to the outcome of how it's going to be received. Like holding the intention that it is going to have resonance with the collective in a positive and uplifting way, but not attaching to that, like, so that if that doesn't happen, or if I don't get that feedback, then I'm going to readjust accordingly, because then that equates to not my vision or mission, or what I'm saying is, it must not be resonating if I'm not getting the feedback I want to get. Like, I'm assuming that it's resonating because I believe that it is. So, you know, I don't need to have that external validation. It's nice to hear it, but I'm not attached to it to where it's defining how I then move forward. So, I think I've had a good amount of time with Badger. I think what I'll do now is, I think I'm going to work with SWAN and WASP. I think this is where I need to work. And I say that with a sigh, because I know there's more work for me here. There's more work for me here in my shadow work. That I will benefit from. So there's more to unearth, some of the stuff that doesn't feel great. So we'll see where that journey takes me. All right. So again, as I mention always, these readings are for the collective. So I do intend that whomever is watching, and I see Angela. Hello, Angela. How are you, my friend? So whomever is watching live, whoever watches the replay, at whatever point in time you may be watching, that these messages will resonate in one way or another, either one aspect or several, and that you can decide whomever or none of the animals that come through that you choose to want to foster, develop a closer relationship with and invite into your journey. So for me, like I said, it's going to be SWAN and WASP. I did spend time with Badger last week, so I think it's time for SWAN and WASP on my journey. So invite whomever feels right for you, or not. Like if none of them feel aligned to work with, if it's an animal that has come through before, or even a different animal altogether that hasn't, then that would be what is aligned for you and the most appropriate thing to do. So always follow your own gut feelings, your own intuition as to who is aligned in terms of a spirit animal that you want to work with. And again, so the readings for the collective in that regard, but I do also work with folks on an individual basis. So I will include how you can reach out to me when you're ready for that in this post. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Angela. Good to see you. Peace and blessings, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.